create a common repository of all the locations such that whenever required I can raise.
So to create a table, go to targets menu. Use the option called
In
create.
my home structure, usually we are having the class A, and for that class A, in a one single class, we are locating each and every element, and we are combining those locations with its method, and then we are combining a separate methods to create to reuse it again and again. But if if I want to just design the same way in my POM, where in the page object model, I will try to create some other class where preferably I will create my all the locations separated over there in the class B, and I will try to combine those as a method such that whenever required I can call it in a class A. So that implementation I want to deal with it with the help of page object model. Then how exactly I can do it? So let's see. So first of all, we'll go with the structure which we are right now following, that is recognized as a test case, which is designed somewhat in a not in a page object model format. So I have designed one of the simple login scenario of one of the uh, website of booking, right? Just for understanding, I'm just opening it over here. And let's try to check like whether the credentials are working fine or not. The username and the password is invalid, but so far what right now I'm just want to say here that consider a case that this is one of the website we'll have where I'm having the user and the password, and I just want to check the login scenario. After doing the successful login, we want to just get the title available on the page, and then we are assuring it, we are asserting the title that whether it is as per our expectation or not. So if you will see here, in general we are notifying our scenario like this way, where at the test will be there. We can set up the priority as well for the test engine. So whenever I do a right click with run as, you will preferably see the option of test engine. Over here, if you will see a standard declaration that we are doing so far, like giving the Firefox driver, giving the implicit weight, opening up the URL, locating the user ID and the password, and then I'm clicking on to the login. Once I click on to the login, whatever the text available on the page, we are grabbing it and we are asserting it with our expected result. So the idea is that just grab the title from the page and assure that whether the title is verifying or not. Now, if this will be the way by which we are doing so far now, then how I can convert the same existing into the page object model form? So for that, if you will see here, I have created all the UI related pages. Let's say for home page, where exactly all the username and those is gonna be captured after successful login. And this one is the login page. Okay, and this all UI classes that I have designed, I will try to map it with my actual method named test login. So if you will see, the test login is my method where actually the login is gonna be performed. Then what I'm doing here in this login on the home page under this pages package, we are trying to just creating the objects of each and every location with its method. Let's see how. So this is the login class of my page home page, like I can say, where we are first entering the user and the password. So earlier we are just locating the element and then we are hard coding the data. Now instead I can see that I will notify WebDriver by that is actually the class that is available in Selenium, and the username is nothing but it's just a variable name where we are storing that name. So far, the user ID in the password field I have located it by name. So if I'll go back onto that application and I will do the inspect with Firebug, we'll able to see that specific element by its name available. That is UID, right? So this how whatever the bunch of locations I will have, I'm just combining all those together, like user ID, password, a title of the text, even the button of login. Then I've created a separate methods for each and every. Let's say for login only, I'm using this dot driver. That is nothing but by this we can just uh, access the constructor, right? So that constructor I have created that public login. If you will see, the login is my class name, and if you will recall the Java concept of uh, we can create the constructor with the same name which is having no return type. So this is a single argument constructor that I have created for my driver to initiate or a browser to initiate. Then after I'm setting the username, so I have created few methods that I will reuse in the actual test method. So right now whatever you are saying, that is UI classes of my page object model form. That is public void set username, and I am just passing only one single argument. As we know that every time we are taking one single argument as a username, so I will notify driver.find element. This user guru name, that is nothing but this variable where ideally by name is already stored. And as a send keys, also whatever the data that is required, it's gonna be argumented over there. So far we are not passing anything. When I will call this method, we'll pass over there. The same way for password as well, I have created one method set password. Similarly, I have created another method to click on login. So this all are nothing but the keywords or the methods that I will try to use whenever required now onwards in the another classes as well. Rather just depending on to the hard-coded locations and the methods that I have available in the Selenium WebDriver. For get login title, that is nothing but after login whatever the title that we are getting. And then finally, after creating these all methods, I've used one main method like how we can do the login. So public void login, which is having two argument method, the one is string username and the string password, and we are calling that set username and set password method, which is available over here with this set username and set password, which is in the current class. Once it's done, we are just passing the relevant argument of username and the password. On the home page, after successful login, what exactly we are doing is one of the location is there from where we are getting the username. Let's say you have logged in one of the system, intranet or any Gmail or something, you are getting a success message like hello user. So that whatever the username that we are observing, we are storing into one of the variable and then we are printing it on a console. So that is why for that as well, I am just notifying by home page username, which is actually the location from where we are getting the username. I'm notifying public homepage, and then we are getting the username from the dashboard. So I have created the method in that way. So over here also, if you will see for the homepage, we are creating the constructor, which is of one argument where we need to initialize the driver, and we are getting the username after login. After implementing these two separate UI classes, actual test method is gonna be available over here, where we usually write before, after, and test. So I have used test engine, so that's why if you will see WebDriver, then login, I have created the object login. Okay, these all are the imports which are I have done it for pages.homepage and pages.login. Definitely we are trying to invoke the method and the variables which are declared on that specific package with its classes. So I need to import that package as well as the classes from where I will try to invoke the method and the variables. And now, what are the areas where we'll change this? So let me just put a non-page object model code side by side with the current page object model code. And this test login is nothing but actual page object model code which we have converted. So if I'll see, I can see that for the user ID, definitely where we are earlier hard coding this, Okay, let me just try to somewhat arrange in a good way so that you can see it clearly. So this is the code that I can see where actually we are just passing it by the non-object model format. But now if I'll just compare the line by line of it, let's say for login itself, we are just calling the login method over here. See, that is object login equal to new login driver. So that's it. Whatever the 2 or 3 steps that we are using so far, well, like entering the username, entering the password, and clicking onto the login, right? Those all I can see now. It's gonna be changed with this method of login. See, and then whatever the text that we are getting from the location which we are asserting, also for that home page also, I've just called that home page method from where we are verifying the title and we are getting it. Okay, and finally, whatever the text that we are getting, for that we are using the method get homepage dashboard username. So now it looks like we are creating our own classes and the methods that we can invoke rather than creating or rather depending onto the Selenium classes and the methods which are predefined, which gives more visibility and more reusability as well. Let's say for login, now just we have to call this method whenever required by just simply changing the argument, where earlier that was hard coded. Right? So if like we'll see, no doubt this approach of non-page object model looks quite straightforward, but as I suggested yesterday, that what if there are plenty of scripts that we need to modify it again and again. So rather doing it, we can simply go into the separate pages where we will create our own methods and we'll separate the locations and the objects, and whenever required we can just call those methods right away. So this login page title, that is again a method that I have created from where we are getting the login page title over here. So under this login class we have created this login to guru, get login title, click login, and all those methods which we are using it now. So this is all about page object model, where whatever you have created as a separate UI classes with its method, we are calling into the actual test case of us by accessing those methods and the classes over there which we have created earlier. Clear? Any doubt or query in this one? Yes, Sophie, any questions or doubt or query?
No, Prasad.
All right. Now, whatever we have used as a page object model implementation, similarly, we are having the another concept named page factory, which is an inbuilt dependency available in that POM or page object model. So what exactly the page factory is? So the same example that we have designed recently by page factory, will try to make it more reusable with the concept of page factory. As I suggested, that page factory is nothing but it is an inbuilt page object model concept which is available for Selenium WebDriver, which is more optimized than the earlier one. What is the purpose over here? and how we can implement it. So we'll again, the concept is same, that we'll try to create a separate object repository and the methods, but we'll try to use a page factory class with annotation of @findby, where we'll usually put the locations. So I will show that to you how we'll create a page factory classes to find the location, and then we are having the methods name initialize methods or initialize elements methods, which allow us to access those all stored locations in one of the separate class file. So the concept is like this way. Just on a brief, if you will see, whatever the location that we'll have, rather using by object name equal to by dot name or something, we'll use @find by annotation. We store the whole location, and whenever required, we'll invoke this by init elements. We are doing the same in the page object model as well, but in the page object model we are using like this way. That was by homepage, then by .xpath, right? Instead, you are using by homepage equal to by xpath. If it's of a page factory, then let's see. So I'm closing the all classes, okay, and then I'm opening up a page factory classes now. So that is homepage and login, same like the earlier concept. The same example, I'm replicating it, but with the help of page factory now. And now for login, which was our first page, it will look like this way. Web driver @find by name equal to UID, and we are storing it to the user. This is my location variable under which we are storing. Similarly, for password, for class name, for login button, right? The rest is quite fine. The only change is we are having this page factory class available in the Selenium, for which we are initializing the elements with this. The rest is and guess. So it will create all the web elements. We have to just create all the web elements that we have just stored just above. So once the driver is get launched, I am notifying init elements. For password as well, the methods are being the same. There is no change in the earlier page object model class and this one. Just I am comparing the home page and the login side by side. So this login, if you will see, that is of a page object model, and the current one that we are observing is of a page factory. See, so there is not any difference between though. Here we are using driver.find element and the title text. If it's of a page object model, but if it's a page factory, then ideally it will looks like this way. Let me show that to you. So the same thing, if it's of a page factory, then ideally the whole driver.find element and this syntax is get changed with title text, because the find by is doing that duty. That @find by is doing that same thing. The same way, the way by which we have done it for login, the same way we are doing it for homepage as well. See, I have just added @find by, and the rest is quite being the same. But don't forget about to add this statement where we are initializing all the web elements that we have just created, which was not there in the standard page object model structure. The rest is quite being also same. So let's say for home page, again, if you will see, this will be the page factory statement. But if it's of page object model, let's see. So if it's of a page object model, then it will looks like this way. So again, I can see that this driver.find element is just replaced with this single argument. Okay. And now, same like the earlier one, we are also creating a separate test login, but this time with page factory. So if you will see, there is not any change so far in the standard test login versus test login with page factory. If we will compare side by side, it looks both the same. No change though. Why? Because the only change that we have done is its UI classes that we have changed it by @find, right? So that is the major change that we have applied, because if you will just actually invoke those in the current test method where you are trying to run it as a test case in the before and after, there will not be any declaration change, because whatever we have created separately in the classes, we are invoking that. So we are not concerned about what is there in that method on the variable declaration. We are directly calling it by its name, right? But we have changed the declaration somewhat in the actual UI classes that we have designed earlier in the page object model than the page factory now. All right. So that was the concept of page object model, where some more people are also saying it as modular framework, where we are trying to create our own classes and we'll try to set up the own methods in those classes by creating the constructor, so that whenever required we can just reuse it in a multiple classes, not in a single class, but we can reuse it in a multiple classes if required, right? So that is the major thing that we need to understand. Clear? Any doubt or query? All right. Then moving further, the another topic that we have is of log4j, but as two candidates are missing, so I'm just going through the introduction of it only, like what actually the log4j is all about, and then we'll do the implementation tomorrow. Ideally, we are just about to close this, so still there will not be any problem. And also, by today you will get a mail where you will get some interview-related questions that you can go through for Selenium WebDriver, right? So what exactly log4j stands for? So that is nothing but one of the Apache services available to log the error stack. So usually it is observed that whenever we are attempting any scenario, by the time we are facing some issues or warnings or something. So if I want to set the debugging level, like which error will convey which thing, then ideally we can just design a separate log4j API in our existing framework, which will track each and every activities like this way. Let me just show one of the demo log4j log file, which was designed by one of the students. So I'm just showing you that for a reference. So whenever it's a framework, yes, it is preferably required to have this where whenever even the Excel file is getting connected, or if any class is done, if any verification you have done, if you are entering any password or something, so those all entries will able to track with its time. And yeah, we can set the level of detail here definitely, rather just notifying this bulky like log. But we can see it though that it was started earlier with Chrome, and the Chrome version was this, the start time was this, and the URL was local server URL. Homepage page factory initialization. So recently, like whatever we have talked about, it is doing that. It is entering the email. It is trying to set some value, and the value is some email ID. It is trying to enter the password and some value. So this is quite detailed. Even whenever the screenshot is captured, we can also have the path where the screenshot is gonna be captured. So these details are enough, I can say. if we'll give to the client itself to understand, or if any person who is quite being technical enough to find out like which specific thing is getting failed, and you can see also the errors and the info. So we can just trace those things by its log level, that whether it's of error or whether it's of information. Right. So ideally, this is nothing but one of the keyword framework that one candidate has designed, for which it has mapped a log. Okay, so log4j purpose is about that, where in case if whatever the errors and the warnings that we are getting, and if your framework is quite being of a big files, we'll try to set up some debug level. Either it can be of a trace, either it can be information or warning or error. If it's fatal, which stuck in between, or either we can trace all the log levels which is available over there during the runtime. So log4j purpose is nothing but to handle the logging services. Officially, this is the website from where we can download the log4j file. Okay, but so far we do not have to uh, worry about the implementation of log4j. The most important thing that we have to understand is its properties file. So log4j is having its own properties file where we can do the modification and we can set the debug levels and the appenders. So we'll discuss on to those appenders and the levels of it. I have already designed one of the example of log4j here as well, where I will show that to you, like how the log4j properties file will gonna be updated so far. But as the two candidates are not available, let's keep it to tomorrow. And then once the log4j is done, we'll discuss onto the Maven projects, how to create it, and then we'll see grade. So this is the plan, and then we'll sign off, right? So probably today you will get the interrelated questions. So far you can just recap all the concepts and the videos that you have gone through, and in case if you have any query or doubt, you can let me know, right? And from this log4j, either we can download tar or zip file, it's up to you. Once we download it, we'll have to configure it over here. So if you will see in the reference library, the same way like we have configured the Selenium files, we need to configure the log4j file as well. And in a separate folder, we'll able to see this log available after running it. So that will be the plan for tomorrow. And also we'll discuss about grid. And the last session is all about more on Maven and continuous integration. Clear? Any question or doubt? Any query?
Yeah, Prasad.
Yes.
Yeah, the doubt which I asked, how to create the test output folder. So
Yes.
is it like when you right click and then new other test ng, when you create the test ng, once it is done, you will be getting that folder, or?
No. Like right now, if you are having the system with one of the tests in the class, just
Okay.
share that to me. I will show
Yeah,
that
yeah,
to you.
sure. Yeah.
Whatever the one of the test ng class you have created, do a right click onto the test ng class. A
One
small example is fine if you have any.
second. Yeah. This one.
Okay. Yeah, ideally the correction that is required here, I'm just
Mhm.
accessing your system, okay?
Okay.
Just allow me. This new test that you have created, it should not fall under to this. Whenever we are creating any class, it
Mhm.
should fall into the package. So it should be like this way, right click, go with new,
Mhm.
and then let's create a package, because for test engine it's mandatory to have a package. I'm just notifying any package name. It's up to us. And under that I'm just pasting this demo class that you have created. And then this one, I'm removing it.
Okay.
It's not required actually. And under this test engine, let's see what we are having in this class. Okay, let's change the package name. Okay, you can just put a system or out or println in between. Okay,
Okay.
to understand like what will be the actual way once it is gonna be run. Ideally, these are the annotations. So let's
Yeah.
write something in between. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that is your task. But I'm just showing you like I will do a right click with run as test and test. Definitely it will run it, but will not see any results on console.
Mhm.
But once you will run it on the same project, if you will refresh, right click and this refresh, then you will able to see one folder created here
Okay.
where you have to do a right click with new file, and then you can notify testng.xml,
Mhm.
and where we'll put that XML code. Clear?
Yeah.
Under the source, shoot name, test name, classes name, package.class name, like this way.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's meet tomorrow where we'll
Yeah.
complete the log4j and we'll have a discussion about Selenium grid
Yeah.
on the
And
next day. Yeah, done.
and you'll be sending the solutions for that e-commerce
Yeah.
or once we
On the
complete.
last session, yeah, on the last
Oh,
session, I will definitely share it. But
okay.
till then, better than attempt it. Uh,
Yeah.
in case if you are getting any problems, then you can
Yeah.
discuss
Sure.
with me. Okay.
Sure. Sure.